Alright, let me ask you something. Can you imagine the leader of the Catholic Church, the Pope himself, turning the Vatican into a steamy playground of scandal and debauchery? Sounds wild, right? Well, you might want to sit down for this one, because the story of Pope Alexander VI and his affair with a woman named Giulia Farnese is one of the most shocking, jaw-dropping episodes in church history. We're talking mistresses, illegitimate children, and more drama than a soap opera. And trust me, by the end of this, you'll be wondering, was this guy really the Pope? Now, before we get into the juicy details, let me tell you, this isn't just about scandal for scandal's sake. Oh no, this story is about power, influence, and how one of the most influential popes in history had a life so contradictory. You won't believe what went down in the Vatican. So, stick around, because by the end, you're going to be talking about this story for days. And hey, if you love unraveling hidden secrets of history like this one, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss the next story we've got lined up. Okay, let's get started. The tale of Pope Alexander VI begins in the late 15th century, and boy, things were already heated before he even became Pope. Born Rodrigo Borgia, yeah, you've probably heard that name before. He came from a family known for being, shall we say, ambitious. But ambition wasn't the only thing driving Rodrigo. Nope, this guy had an eye for luxury, power, and beautiful women. So, what happens when a man like that becomes Pope? Spoiler alert, nothing good for the church. Now, you'd think becoming the Pope would mean renouncing worldly pleasures, right? Vows of chastity, celibacy, you know the deal. But not for Rodrigo. In 1492, when he was elected Pope and took the name Alexander VI, things were about to get messy. And I mean really messy. I hope you're ready for this. Let me introduce you to Giulia Farnese. She was young, she was beautiful, and she was famously known as the Jewel of the Vatican. Not exactly the kind of nickname you expect to hear in a place of prayer, huh? Giulia was no ordinary mistress. She was the Pope's mistress. That's right, the holiest man in Christendom was having a torrid affair with this dazzling woman, and trust me, it was no secret. Now, you're probably thinking, wait, how does this even happen? Well, in the power-hungry world of the Borgias, anything was possible. And Alexander VI, he didn't even try to hide it. In fact, he flaunted it. Giulia was living in the Vatican, and the scandal was so blatant that it had people all over Europe gossiping. Can you imagine the whispers? Did you hear the Pope's mistress lives inside the Vatican? Oh, and it gets crazier. You see, Giulia wasn't just there for the Pope's pleasure, she had her own influence. Being the Pope's mistress came with perks, and she wasn't shy about using her position to advance her family's fortunes. Her brother, Alessandro Farnese, for example, ended up becoming a cardinal, and would you believe it? He later became Pope Paul III. Imagine that, a future pope whose sister was the lover of another pope. You couldn't make this stuff up. But let's back up a bit. How did this scandal start? Well, Giulia Farnese was already married to Orsino Orsini, a nobleman. But, in typical medieval fashion, marriage didn't stop her from catching the eye of Alexander VI. And as you can guess, Orsini was less than thrilled. But here's where it gets extra spicy. Orsini couldn't do a thing about it. I mean, who's going to argue with the Pope, right? Talk about a power move. Now, let's paint a picture for you. While most popes were known for their piety and spiritual leadership, Pope Alexander VI was throwing lavish banquets and hosting extravagant parties inside the Vatican. The Vatican was no longer just a holy palace. It was the setting of some of the most scandalous scenes in all of Rome. Can you imagine the kind of gossip this must have stirred among the cardinals and the citizens of Rome? And let's not forget about the children. Oh yes, the Pope had several illegitimate children, some of whom were born during his time as Pope. Two of his most infamous children were Cesare and Lucrezia Borgia. And don't even get me started on their stories. They deserve their own soap opera. You won't believe the twists and turns in their lives, from political marriages to rumours of murder and poisonings. But we'll save that for another day. Trust me, you'll want to hear that one too. Now, while Alexander VI was busy living his double life, part spiritual leader, part Renaissance playboy, the church was suffering. The corruption of the Borgia papacy was one of the main reasons for the eventual Protestant Reformation. People had had enough of popes who seemed more interested in mistresses and money than in saving souls. Alexander VI's papacy became the poster child for everything that was wrong with the church at the time. But here's the kicker. Alexander VI wasn't shy about it. Unlike other popes who might have kept their affairs hush-hush, Alexander didn't seem to care what people thought. It's almost like he was saying, yeah, I'm the Pope, and yeah, I've got a mistress. What of it? The audacity, right? But wait, we're not done yet. Let's talk about the aftermath. Alexander VI reigned as Pope for 11 years before his death in 1503. But even in death, the scandals didn't end. People said he died of poison, possibly by accident during a botched assassination attempt on someone else. And when his body was displayed, it reportedly turned black and bloated, as if even death couldn't keep his sins quiet. So, what became of Giulia Farnese? Well, after Alexander's death, she lived a relatively quiet life, though her reputation as the Pope's mistress followed her forever. And as for the Vatican, let's just say it took a while to scrub away the Borgia stain from the papacy. Now I have to ask, can you believe this story? The Vatican, a place of holiness, turned into a playground of scandal. And Pope Alexander VI, he wasn't just a man of God, he was a man of many pleasures. What do you think? Could this happen today? Let me know in the comments because this story still blows my mind. And if you love stories like this one, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next wild chapter in history's craziest scandals. Because trust me, there's plenty more where this came from. The legacy of Pope Alexander VI. A deep dive into his controversial papacy and its impact on history. This chapter will explore the long-term effects of Pope Alexander VI's actions and how they shaped the future of the Catholic Church and European politics. Pope Alexander VI's reign was marred by scandal, yet it undeniably left a significant mark on history. His nepotism, corruption, and scandalous personal life may have tarnished the image of the papacy, but they also set in motion a series of reforms that would eventually lead to the Counter-Reformation. The Catholic Church, in response to the moral decay and public outcry, began a period of self-reflection and reformation. The Council of Trent, held between 1545 and 1563, aimed to address the issues that had plagued the Church during Alexander's time, including the sale of indulgences and clerical celibacy. Politically, the Borgia family's influence extended far beyond the Vatican. Their alliances and rivalries shaped the political landscape of Europe, influencing the rise and fall of dynasties. The power struggles of the Italian states during this period were, in part, a direct consequence of the Borgias' machinations. Furthermore, the legacy of Pope Alexander VI serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of absolute power and the moral compromises that often accompany it. His papacy remains a vivid reminder of the complex interplay between religion, politics, and human nature. As we reflect on the life and legacy of Pope Alexander VI, we are reminded that history is not just a series of dates and events, but a tapestry of human experiences, choices, and consequences. Thank you for joining us on this journey through history. Until next time, remember, the past is never as far away as it seems. The Borgia family. Power, corruption, and influence. This chapter will delve into the Borgia family's rise to power, their notorious reputation, and their lasting influence. The Borgia name has become synonymous with ambition, intrigue, and scandal. Their ascent to power in Renaissance Italy was marked by ruthless tactics and strategic alliances. At the heart of their story is Rodrigo Borgia, who became Pope Alexander VI. His papacy was a critical stepping stone for the family's ambitions, allowing them to amass wealth and influence. Rodrigo's children, Cesare and Lucrezia, played pivotal roles in the family's quest for power. Cesare, a brilliant military leader, sought to carve out a Borgia state in Italy, while Lucrezia's marriages were used to forge strategic alliances. The Borgias' methods were often unscrupulous, involving bribery, betrayal, and even murder. Their actions earned them many enemies and a lasting legacy of infamy. Yet, their influence extended far beyond their lifetimes. The political landscape of Italy and Europe was indelibly shaped by their machinations. Their story is a powerful reminder of the lengths to which people will go to achieve power and the costs that come with it. Despite their notoriety, the Borgia family's impact on history cannot be denied. They were key players in the complex and often brutal world of Renaissance politics. As we reflect on the Borgia legacy, we see a family that embodied both the heights of ambition and the depths of moral compromise. Their story is a testament to the enduring power of human ambition and the far-reaching consequences of our actions. To sum it up, we've learned how one of the most powerful popes in history turned the Vatican upside down, how a beautiful mistress named Giulia Farnese became the talk of Europe, and how power, lust, and corruption once ruled the highest levels of the Catholic Church. Until next time, remember, history is written not just by the victors, but by those who dare to seize power, no matter the cost. Thanks for watching, and until next time, remember, history is always more scandalous than you think.